Who wants to play video games?
Hey guys, it's Jukebox here. I'm a competitive DBD survivor and killer player for Team Misery. And I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about my thought process when I play twins, since they are currently my best killer I play right now. And so I wanted to look over some VODs. I'm going to start with this one. This is from this past weekend, where we played versus Deathwish in Blast Pro in like the group stage / qualify stage. So this helped us qualify for main stage Blast Pro, which we'll be playing this week. So going into this game, we won the first set barely. It was really close. And now I had to come in and play twins, and then our survivors were going to play off of my win conditions. So whatever result I got here, we had to play around on the survivor side. So when I'm playing twins, especially in really good rule sets like this one, I'm playing for a 4K with as many gens remaining as possible. And just to quickly go over the rule set, this is Blast Pro rule set. In Blast Pro, there are 3 different maps that twins can be played on. Coal Tower, Suffo Pit, or ARP. We banned Suffo Pit, they banned Coal Tower, so ARP is what we got. ARP is a top 5 map for twins. It's really strong for them. And it's what you see in competitive the most, because both sides have a pretty decent shot at doing well in it, whereas if you put twins on a smaller map like Coal Tower or Wreckers, they'll just completely dominate in most rule sets. So most rule sets like to put them on maps like Suffer or ARP, where it's a little bit more fair. That being said, Blast Pro heavily favors the twins in this rule set. I personally think that twins should always be getting a 4K in this rule set, at least a 4K 1. I guess if the survivors play insanely well, you could 4K after all gens pop, but either way, there's a lot of shit banned on them in this league, or a lot of shit banned against them, rather. So, like, survivors don't get the normal stuff, you know, they don't get inner, they don't get unbreakable, they don't get deli, they don't get dead hard, like the normal stuff that you normally ban against non-S tier killers. But on top of that, a few other things worth mentioning is that they banned Will Make It, which is a healing perk that's sometimes allowed versus twins in rule sets. Decisive Strike, which means that there's no counterplay to you tunneling. And For the People, which again, no counterplay to the tunneling. Decisive Strike can be dealt with by just sending Victor out and dealing with it. For the People, a lot harder to deal with as twins. So them banning these 3 perks, especially For the People, really makes twins a very dominating force in this map, and so that's why I think that 4Ks are pretty much always going to happen in this rule set. So I'm going to play the VOD, and I'm going to pause and play and just go through the different things that happen and explain my thought process throughout them. I'll call out mistakes that I make, mistakes the survivors make, good plays, bad plays, everything I'm going to talk about here. So this is the start of the game. I'm going to talk about my build as well, but I'm going to let this play for a second so I can explain the perks and stuff, since you can't see the perks in Victor right now. So the first little bit was cut out because it was in the loading screen. So at the start of the game, what you want to do is walk to the middle of the map with Charlotte, and then send Victor out and look on the opposite side where the survivors spawn, and try to find someone stealthing, trying to cross up. So here I went to the middle. I positioned Charlotte so that she was facing, so I could see the other side of the wall. So if I'm currently on the left side of the map, and I'm facing Charlotte towards the right side, so that if I switch back to her, I can see anyone crossing up the right side. And I'll hear anyone crossing up the left side, because when I switch back to her, I'll hear footsteps or whatever. So if I see people crossing up the right side when I switch back, that's why I'm positioned that direction. And then you send Victor out and you look for a survivor here. So that's where we are in the game, and I'm going to hit play and let this play for a second so you can see where this goes from here.
Salve guys, estamos de volta para nossa terceira partida desse confronto. E a gente tá vendo aí o Jukebox com o seu Vitinho potentíssimo. Nossa, já deu de cara com mania. Trouxe o Double Speed novamente aí o Jukebox. Vitinho, Ferrari.
Okay, so I've just gotten my first tag on a survivor. They were not stealthing very well there, so it was pretty easy to catch them. Once you get your first tag, you're back in Charlotte, and now is your time to look for any survivors that might have crossed up during that period and try to stop them from getting on gens, because all of the blocked gens all of the non-corrupted gens are on the side you spawned on. So it is your job to make sure that you can interrupt as many survivors as possible here while you wait for Victor to come off cooldown. You just want to stop them from getting any gen pressure, because right now is your weakest point as twins. You don't have Victor, you are just an M1 killer, and so you have to play off of your cooldown there. So here I'm just looking for any survivors that might have crossed up. I even walk up a little bit higher to see if anyone's passed me, just to try to interrupt at least a single survivor, just to keep them occupied. A good rule of thumb is you always want to keep 2 survivors busy at once. So right now I have the Nia Shrimp is busy because Victor is on her, meaning she can't reset, she can't do gens. And then with Charlotte, you want to interrupt a second player because you're basically playing 2 killers, so you might as well use them to your full potential. I think the biggest mistake I see with twins is that people don't play them both together. They generally just play with Victor, and they don't really play with Charlotte a whole lot. But you have to learn that playing Charlotte doesn't always mean, oh, you know, I can't get an M1 on someone because they're playing pallets or whatever. Even if you're just keeping someone occupied in chase, it does waste a lot of time while you're waiting for your cooldown. So that's really important to keep in mind. Quickly talking about the build, for perks I got Corrupt Intervention, which if you're playing in comp is pretty much a staple in 99% of the games you play. Forced Penance, which is also a staple on twins, because without it you're going to get completely staged up. Basically, survivors can just keep taking hits for Victor and you'll lose little by little because they can keep resetting. It'll be a long game, but you'll lose it eventually. With Forced Penance, they can't do that. Any tag they take that's a protection hit, whether it's from Victor or from an M1, will completely disrupt their entire game. And it could quite literally throw an entire game at the right moment. If you get a broken status effect on a survivor at the right time, you can win the game off of just that alone. So Forced Penance is absolutely a necessity. Pain Res is currently the strongest regression perk in the game right now. 25% regression for every fresh hook on a Scourge. Really, really powerful stuff. I don't know, that one's pretty self-explanatory. And then Deadlock, also one of the strongest slowdowns in the game right now. Blocks the gen after a generator pops. Now, Deadlock's a little bit more special in twins in my opinion, because even though Deadlock is just a very powerful perk in general on all killers, twins is one of the few killers that can take it to the next level. So, common counterplay for Deadlock is to 99 in gen, and then that gen will keep getting deadlocked as the game progresses. That way you don't have to worry about gens that are currently being worked on getting deadlocked. The problem is with twins, later into the game, twins can apply so much pressure to the survivors that they might not even be able to find time to go pop a gen that they 90% and 95% or 99% from deadlock. You can put so much pressure on the survivors that it stops them from popping a generator that they normally would against normal killers, and this game kind of showcases that. There is a point in the game where Deadlock puts in so much work, and I'll talk about that later as we get there. And then finally, I'm running 2 speed add-ons. We got Forest Stew and Madeline's Scarf. Most twins players play with Toy Sword and Forest Stew. I personally think Toy Sword is a waste of time. It's not a bad add-on, don't get me wrong. It's a nice quality of life add-on. I would personally like to see it base kit just because it feels nice to play with. But if I said it was a necessity, I would be lying, because there is no hit in this game that you don't get without it. You can pretty much hit everything without Toy Sword. It's really not needed. You'll see that I hit everything I need to hit in this set, everything I need to hit in any twin set I play, because you don't need Toy Sword. And double speed can do so much more than that. You can run in front of survivors going for hit takes and things like that. You're slightly faster than they're probably used to. When they're scrimming twins players, remember they're scrimming Toy Sword, so they don't have that green speed add-on, meaning they're just not used to the amount of speed that you're putting in, so they're not going to be able to body block you as easily. So just very, very powerful add-on combination. Alright, so here we go.
E a build dele então, Corrupt, Painras, Deadlock e Force de Pinance. Uma build muito equilibrada, eu diria, uma build que faz muito sentido. O Deadlock com o Painras faz todo o sentido do mundo, né?
Okay, scratch marks here. Survivor ran down towards bus side now. So now I know there are 2 survivors on this side of the map that are doing absolutely nothing. So I'm completely fine with that. My Victor cooldown's halfway, so I can start looking around for, okay, where's the survivor I tagged with Victor, recall Victor, and down them now. That's eventually what I'm going for here.
Um combo bem interessante de usar. E o Force de Pinance, né, para facilitar a vida dele aí, enquanto a galera vai tentar dar aquele tank. Mano Jukebox colocou então o Vitinho na Nia, tá taxando a sua rotação, vai pegar a informação da Nia, a Nia tá puxando a chase para cheque, recupera o Vitinho no Jukebox.
Okay, in this situation, I just get Victor back and I find my injured survivor at Shack. As the survivor, you want to loop Shack, pre-drop Shack Pallet to counter Victor. So essentially what I'm doing here is walking the survivor down, they're going to drop Shack Pallet, I'm going to break it, and then I send Victor out and get a confirmed down on them. This survivor does not play it correctly. They leave Shack immediately, they don't run to anything, and then they immediately get M1 down. That is not what you want to do here, but that explains why I didn't send Victor out for this, because I was expecting them to go to Shack Pallet, I was going to break it and then send Victor out, so weird circumstance.
A Nia puxando pro cantinho no mapa e... Cara, a Nia tá morta.
Here's where the game takes a turn and it gets really goofy. I don't know what the survivors were thinking at this point. This is just a free down for me. I was about to send Victor out and send him mid so that I'd be ready to switch to him and go topside and get a tag on someone working on a gen. What they decided to go for instead is an extremely premature firecracker save, and I'm not even in pickup animation yet. So this actually, right here, single-handedly, they immediately pretty much lost the game on the spot as long as I play correctly because of how much of a misplay this was. I get a free M1, which is a no-no versus Twins. Here, I expect him to hop in locker to deny any amount of pressure. I have to go physically pull him out of the locker, which wastes more time. He doesn't do that. He uses quick and quiet to vault the window and then vault back into me for some reason. Again, just very weird plays from all these players all around.
O gemido foi do Vault, eu achei que tinha sido o Locker também. Meu Deus, o Dark passou no lado do Locker e deu um Vault, cara. Era só entrar no armário. Agora vai dar o slurp.
Again, going back to rule of thumb, you don't want to get too greedy. I have 2 survivors interrupted here because they're both on the ground, so I don't need to send Victor to do much more. In fact, doing that could potentially throw the game. Someone could rotate down and get pickups, so I just take my time, switch back to Charlotte, and get my pickup and go for my pain res hook. That way, I can confirm that no generators will pop in this early game.
O Jukebox, ele posiciona o Vitinho no meio do mapa, vai fazer o gancho da Nia, tem a informação do Vitinho pro Mano Ace, vai poder agressivar a galera nessa rotação no save, ninguém salva a Nia e, cara, a partida tá na mão do Jukebox. Que começo desastroso pra equipe da Deathwish, cara. Meu Deus.
In this situation with Victor, I'm looking for a healthy survivor to get another injury to just apply so much pressure to them. I could try to down the Ace Dark, I could try to down him again, but then he'll just get picked up by someone else and it's just not worth my time, so I'd rather just tag another survivor, that way they can't be working on gens or healing, and it just wastes a lot of time.
Primeiro os 2 pontos pra Misery. Já vai pegar a informação agora do Mano Jake. Então os primeiros 2 pontos, o primeiro gancho aí. Da Nia, a galera errou no tanque, né? Eu acho que se desesperaram pra negar esse primeiro gancho.
In this situation, the survivors can't do a whole lot. I know that they're all topside because I'm assuming no one has snuck down at this point. But just in case, I'm camping to make sure no one gets the save. I really want to make sure this goes second stage, because an early tunnel out is absolutely crucial to having a good mid to late game as Twins. That's what secures you the 4K, is getting this early camp and tunnel out. So I'm assuming that Clover and Dark are either healing or working on generators topside, and either way, I'm not too worried by it because the Jake Sam is just completely useless because he's holding Victor right now. So, I know I can camp this pretty safely because they don't have a lot of gen pressure, it got completely crushed by pain res, and I can just sit back and secure the second for only losing a gen and a half or 2 gens, and it's like not a big deal. I wouldn't even lose 2 gens because they don't have that gen pressure, because there wasn't enough gen pressure going into it, so yeah.
E piorou ainda mais a situação. Então vai sair um gerador, que é o gen do Clover, e é isso. E vai demorar um pouquinho ainda pra sair por conta do PRS. Já poderia ter sido popado, vai demorar mais alguns segundos por conta do PRS. Começo de jogo dos sonhos pro Mano Jukebox, 2 pessoas machucadas, uma delas broken, o Clover vai ter que rotacionar pra esse save, alguém vai ter que pegar o gen dele e sozinho o Clover não salva, cara. Ele teria que resetar o Ace e vir pro double save, não dá tempo, o Shrimp vai pegar struggle, o Shan tá com o Vitinho nas costas e o Jukebox tá com os 2 pés em cima da mesa. Situação totalmente ganha.
Shrimp is about to go second, so I'm going to recall Victor just to prepare myself so that as soon as Shrimp goes second, I can send Victor out and go crush another survivor. Again, gotta keep these survivors constantly occupied, and with 2 survivors being injured, they gotta play extremely carefully now.
Tá ganho na partida, cara. 5 gens ups. Primeiro gerador agora finalizado pra Deathwish. Recupera o Vitinho então. Struggle do Shrimp.
Now, please note that this gen, if you're aware of callouts, if you're a competitive player, the generator at 2 is deadlocked right now, so it has a lot of gen progress on it. That's their only other gen with progression. It is now blocked, and I want you to just kind of pay attention to that gen as the game goes on.
Mais 2 pontos pra Misery. E se ele encontrar esse save agora, o Shrimp só morreu. Qualquer esperança de salvar o Shrimp vai por água abaixo.
I switch back to Charlotte here, just to make sure no one can come in and get save. I will say this next sequence of events is probably what is one of my few misplays in this game, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. It's not a huge misplay, it didn't lose me the game or anything, but it is something that I was a bit of a slip-up that I should have paid more attention to.
Não pode ser encontrado esse save por nada nesse mundo. E, meu Deus, ele não vai chegar no locker.
Here I find an injured survivor, and he's not able to make it to the locker, so I go for a quick down on him, and then switch back to Charlotte to try to prevent someone from saving. Unfortunately, I committed pretty heavily on a long time here in Victor, so I wasn't really able to stop the unhook from happening.
Não vai chegar no locker, cara. A equipe da Deathwish tá pecando demais nesses conceitos.
So I have to walk Victor all the way back down to the bottom side to get this tunnel out now. Whereas I could have not greeted quite as far, and then switched back to Charlotte and played on the hook with Charlotte instead of having to go all the way back down with Victor.
Não dá pra dar slug pro Vitinho. A galera tá permitindo, tá dando essas brechas e a partida tá indo de vala. Fizeram um save, já pegaram a informação de uma pessoa da região ali da check. E aonde está a Nia? Vamos dar uma olhadinha rápida. A Nia tá na check e vai ser encontrada, cara. O que box precisaria?
Not a whole lot you can do once Shack Pallet's thrown if you weren't already pre-charging, which I probably should have done when I heard her crying there, because if you pre-charge with Victor, you pretty much confirm the hit. If they drop it, you can send through and get the hit. If they drop it too early, you can look up and get the hit. Either way, you get the hit there, so I should have been charging already. So because of that, I have to walk Charlotte down there to break the pallet now.
Ia parar o Vitinho agora, é exatamente isso que ele fez. A Nia deve dar a volta e chutar, talvez não, jogou só lá pra trás. E a única pessoa que está curada e pode fazer o tanque é a Mano Clover. O Clover, a princípio, tá no outro lado do mapa, né? O Jake foi resetado e ninguém vai tancar pra Nia. Cara, ninguém vai tancar pra Nia. O Ace tanca.
They send an injured person in for the hit take because they really want to prevent this tunnel out, but in the process apply another forced penance onto someone, which is kind of not a good idea. They should have let their survivor die here and played off of that instead, but now they gave me a free forced penance tag and eventually a double slug.
Se matou pela Nia, segurou o shift, chutam o Vitinho. A Charlotte tá muito bem posicionada pelo Jukebox. Não vai dar pra levantar o Ace. Tem o Vitinho de volta e o Mano Jukebox. E agora a Nia tem que fazer um milagre. Só um milagre pra Nia ficar viva aqui. O Jake tá chegando. Não deu tempo, cara. Que partida pro Mano Jukebox.
The survivors are currently insanely pressured right now. There's a slug, so someone's gonna have to go pick him up. There's someone who came in for a hit take who wasn't working on a generator but didn't make it in time. So now I can just safely take my tunnel out here and then play from there.
Tá totalmente ganho. Vai remover a Nia da partida. O Jake não levanta o Dark a tempo. Vai ter outro gancho assim que matar a Nia pra trabalhar. E de novo só vai sair mais um gerador. Só tem uma versão em gen. Sheriff vai pro seu terceiro e último gancho. Quinto ponto da Misery. 4 gens ups ainda. E o Jukebox que é mais. Ele vai deixar o Ace aí. Na verdade levantaram o Ace.
Here I have two options. I can either hard focus the ace and get the down there and go for another pain res, or I can get another force penance tag. Either is perfectly fine in the situation. It just depends on what's going to be faster. I didn't want to waste a lot of time, so I decided to just take the force penance tag instead of trying to play around their hit taking.
Tava marcando a pontuação, acabei não vendo. O Ace foi levantado. Agora, Mano Clover, então tanca o Vitinho. E o Jukebox vai começar a espalhar pressão nesse 1x3. E de todos.
Now I'm pressuring this survivor to keep him off the generator. If I pressure the Jake here, then only one survivor can work on the gen, who's the ace, and he'll only be really working one generator here, so this is a lot of time wasted for the survivors. I'm just buying time until I get Victor back.
Os isqueiros do jogo, possivelmente o 1x3 mais chato e mais difícil de jogar, seja do Twins, né? Porque, cara, a todo momento o Vitinho vai estar nas costas de alguém e a todo momento você precisa resetar, porque se o slug acontecer no x3, a partida só acaba instantaneamente. Então,
at this point in the game, 4 gens at the kill. I got a little lazy, a little sloppy, so I decided to go for some M1 mind games on the seawall, which, I mean, is a really stupid idea. Don't recommend what I just did here. This is probably one of my other misplays of the game. In this situation, it's better to just recall Victor and then go to the injured survivors, but again, I got a little cocky, shame on me, and went for some mind games here, which wasted a lot of time.
para Misery, desculpa, para Deathwish virar essa partida e conseguir escapes, eles precisam aposentar o Jukebox, cara. Deu aquele mind game, né, de costas, ameaçando pré-fire, não pulou, agora sim pulou. Essa pallet é bem safe, né, no ping normal. Os dois times são na mesma região.
This is a mistake, so I leave, I recall Victor. I wasted a lot of time here for really no reason, so I'm gonna go interrupt the gen they're working on.
Então o ping tá muito tranquilo e o Jukebox vai só ganhar o tempo, então. Para recuperar o Vitinho, são 2 subs machucados, já expulsou o sobrevivente aí do gerador do meio. Quem tava aí meteu o pé e tinha poça de sangue, né? Acredito que seja a Kate que tava aí.
Here, the survivor should have forced locker to stop me from snowballing. He doesn't go to the locker.
Muito.
In fact, he can't make it back around, partly because I'm running double speed. He might have been able to make it back around if I weren't running double speed, but again, these survivors are going to be used to playing in single speed. So this is one of those examples where double speed really, really messed with their head.
Quem tava ali na verdade era o Ace. E não vai conseguir forçar o locker, cara. Novamente o Slug. O gerador do meio tá muito avançado.
The mid generator has a lot of progress at this point, worth noting. Here I go for the pickup on dark. I check locker first to make sure there's no one for head-on save, although if I were thinking a little bit more, I couldn't tell whether they were in Victor range or not. You know, Victor can detect people in lockers, and I thought maybe they were just out of range. I still don't know if they were or not, I'm not entirely sure, so I just double-checked to make sure they weren't going to head on me.
E tem 13 stacks de PMS no Jukebox. Vai usar um deles agora. Deu aquela conferida no armário, não sei se foi intencional. Talvez esperando por um possível head-on. E o Jukebox vai para mais um PMS. Cara, que situação tranquila de jogo aqui pro Jukebox. 4 gens ups ainda, uma pessoa a menos.
Very hard to see. Bit of an effect on the generator. That means that Pain Res procced on that gen, so now I know that the gen that they 99'd earlier or whatever is probably still regressing with Pain Res. Or maybe it was... Actually, no, it wasn't 99. That's what I meant to say. It wasn't 99, so I know that's fine. And the mid generator was pretty far along, at least 90%. So now I know, okay, there's a lot of gen pressure on me now. I need to stop these survivors from getting these generators done.
No gerador, tem deadlock pra trabalhar, mais 2 pontos pra Misery. Cara, a Misery tá com um pé na classificação, e dadas as condições de vitória do Deathwish, né, o quanto de saldo que precisaria tirar, não sei nem se é matematicamente possível mais a classificação da Deathwish. A Misery.
Currently keeping 2 areas locked down right now. I kick this gen to regress it while I'm doing all this. I'm just keeping Jake off his gen. He can't approach this or he gets M1, which is throwing the entire game. And right now I'm just trying to keep in mind where Clover the Cape might be so that I can get a free victor down on her, because the second I find her, it's lights out. Now, while I'm pressuring this gen, there's 2 options. You can either go for the save while injured or work on another generator. I was about to go check other generators with Victor, and then this happened.
Tá com pé e meio no main stage. Acredito que não dá mais pra Deathwish classificar. E depois dessa partida, então, meu Deus do céu.
She made the wrong call and went for save while injured, which cost another slug. And the survivor is, needless to say, are in a very, very bad position here.
Mano, o Clover vai acabar caindo. Ele deu aquele fakezinho na da pallet, acabou não conseguindo dropar. Caiu no lado do gancho, só sobrou o Jake pra contar a história. O Jake vai tomar o hit. Não entendi.
Here, in order to just secure the win on the game, I have to just slug the ace and then go for the Jake now and just put a bunch of pressure that way. If I tag the the Jake, then I don't have Victor for a while and they can potentially recover and pop some generators. So here it is very important that I down the ace. In this next sequence of events, the Jake tries to take hit for the ace to prevent this from happening. And here's yet another example of double speed completely messing with their head. They think that they have the room to body block me, and I get right in their way. I just go right past them because of double speed.
A decisão do Jukebox. Ele não soltou o bichinho, ele quer dar do ace. Interessante. Vai esperar o BT e vai pegar down do ace. Esse Vitinho... Cara, o Vitinho do Jukebox é muito
You would not get that with Toy Sword.
forte. O lado de double speed é muito roubado. A galera tenta estancar, ele faz um zigue-zague e passa no meio das pernas do Jake. Consegue ali levantar a Kate durante esse tempo. E o Jukebox vai jogar pra dar 4 Twins Ups, cara. Que insanidade que está jogando aí o Jukebox de Twins. Já encontra o Mano Jake. Jake aí que é o chão. E tem essa pallet pra trabalhar, né? Não dropou. Ah, nossa,
I lose out on the 50-50 there. That was good reaction time from the Jake. I know he doesn't have enough time to get the pickup, and right now my entire purpose is I know I'm going to 4K this. How many generators can I make this?
ganhou esse stun. Não consegue levantar um Dark a tempo, porém de qualquer forma, belo stun e agora vai jogar.
Here I make a misplay by picking up the ace, thinking that he was fresh hook when I should have remembered that I downed him already, so this is not another pain res, which is unfortunate.
Pelo segundo turno no Jukebox. Joga pra fazer o segundo gancho do Mano Ace. É exatamente isso que acontece. Mais 2 pontos para a equipe da Misery.
Again, make sure your gens don't pop.
Depois de um early game desastroso, não sei se tem mais remédio essa partida. Acho que é uma questão de tempo só. Para um 4K, pelo menos 3 gens ups. Acredito que se tudo
My plan was to tag Jake and then play off that, and then I hear the Kate working on the generator.
der errado aqui pro Jukebox, 2 gens ups, o resultado não desce disso. Tem 2 geradores avançados e não vai forçar o locker. Não consegue forçar o locker a tempo, cara.
Now, this was just very, very unfortunate. I am about to go see if they're running down to the hook, because I figured they would go for save right now. What I should have thought about was the fact that they could hop on this generator right here that I've kept deadlocked and not pop the entire game. If I hadn't checked for a split second here, this generator doesn't pop, and I 4K at 4 generators, which is the most insane thing ever. 4K at 4 generators is, with twins, is just insane. Unfortunately, I let it slide a little bit, but it's fine because the result is still solid.
Nenhuma vez na partida a Deathwish conseguiu negar esse.
Tag happens at the same time the gen pops, maybe a bit of latency, I'm not sure. On my side, I got the hit before the generator popped, so it was kind of unfortunate, but needless to say, that's just kind of how that went, and yeah, now I just have to down the Jake, and it's a 4K at 3 generators, which, don't get me wrong, still an insane result that we can definitely beat anytime.
Esse slug e o Jake popou na cara do bichinho, pouquíssimas ideias. Então o segundo gerador da partida foi finalizado, o quarto ponto da Deathwish, 9-4.
Pretty much just chase the Jake. I got the down on him, and then all you really have to do is just hook all the survivors and wait for them to die. So 4K at 3 generators. Yeah. That's that whole game. We then went in to play Survivor, and we it was 2K7 from Osaka's twins. We got a 2-out 2K7, which is a much better result than a 4K3. We played for our win condition. We just popped 3 generators to secure our win con and then played from there. And it went really well. So yeah, this is what a solid twins game looks like. There were some mistakes from my side. There were definitely mistakes from the Survivor side, but that's just kind of how twins games are. I mean, in general, DBD is a game full of capitalizing on your opponent's mistakes, and I think twins elevates that. And that's why they're so complicated to play and play against, because it takes it to an extreme. It elevates it to an extreme. Little mistakes turn into massive snowball potential, and either side is extremely well off based on the situation. That's just kind of how twins games go. So yeah, this was probably my first of many VOD reviews, going over my twins, since a lot of people online were asking for it. Here it is. I'm going to go over other VODs at some point as well, if you guys enjoyed this kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this walkthrough of Misery vs. Deathwish, my twins game in Blast Pro. And if you guys want to ask me anything about twins in the comments, go ahead. I'll try to answer everyone if I can. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.